fee and who's desperate for a move. Plus, we'll preview the quarterfinals that start on Thursday with France against Morocco, a repeat of the semi-final from the last World Cup. And England face Norway on Saturday, needing to find a way to keep Erling Haaland quiet and the Norwegian fans from rowing their way into the next round. As we welcome you along to Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. Collect one of 9 legendary cups with the FIFA World Cup meal. Adam Hunt here in the Golazo Network studio with Michael Lahoud. A day off.
What?
But we're not off. We're here working because we've got through to the quarterfinal stage of the World Cup. As I said, it all gets underway on Thursday. So 4 games to look forward to, spread out across 3 days. France, Morocco in that top left-hand corner of the bracket. Spain, Belgium, Norway taking on England, and Argentina against Switzerland. We're going to start with the game in Miami, Norway, and Erling Haaland hoping to cause another upset after a good performance against Brazil, against England. I think this is, I mean, certainly when I saw the draw as an England fan, I was looking forward to a game against Brazil, testing ourselves against Jogo Bonito and Brazil. It's always a great chance to play against them. But actually, I'm intrigued by this matchup between England and Norway, because I think on paper you'd say, oh, well, England have got the better team, haven't they? But you're always worried about the stars for Norway, Haaland, Odegaard, and a few others. For me, it's a really interesting game on paper.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, and I think England fans would definitely welcome playing against Brazil, because it's not Jogo Bonito, it's Jogo Finito, because Brazil are done. They were poor. They deserve every single thing that came their way in that match against Norway. England has changed my mind coming into this match because of what they did at the Azteca. Adam, I'm going to be honest, we've known each other a while now. I did not have this in my bingo card, seeing the pride, the passion, the togetherness, the resilience, the character that was on display in a place where Mexico had never lost a match at a World Cup. And it's England, the 3 Lions, who, as of late in the last, I don't know, say 3 or 4 tournaments, England is making a habit out of doing the impossible in lead-ups in the knockout rounds of major tournaments. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky, though, is can you get a complete performance and bottle up all that resilience that we saw, not just out of your Harry Kanes and Jude Bellinghams, but getting the rest of the team to show the buy-in and the collective order that we saw in the final minutes. I thought so many players played with this self-belief and almost played like an England side that was willing to die for each other on the pitch in ways I've never seen in my lifetime.
The interesting as well, going into it, I think you can make that case for both teams. England doing what no one's ever done before at a World Cup, winning a game against Mexico at the Azteca, and Norway beating the great Brazil, the team that's won the most World Cups in history. So both teams will have been really given an extra edge, an extra bit of power by by both of those results. How do you think winning at the Azteca has helped these England players taking it forward into the Norway game?
I think just so many standout players in terms of doing the hard yards, right? And those are things that at major tournaments you have to do in order to earn the right to play. England earned the right to play. Looking at some of the performers, we'll get to Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham in a bit because they've been the stars of the show. But I look at players like Anthony Gordon, who you'll know from his time at Newcastle, unfortunate for Newcastle fans, maybe fortunate for them that he's going to Barcelona. He showed why he is going to Barcelona, because he grafted his ability to press, his ability to win second balls. And also special shout out to Jordan Pickford for having a standout game. I know a lot of people questioned his value and his worth to this national team. And sometimes he's one of those goalkeepers. He's a weird guy. He's a DJ, for crying out loud. Most DJs I know are weird people. But when it counts, he does have a knack for showing up in big games, and he's going to have to show up yet again against the big Norwegian in Erling Haaland.
I had an Aussie friend, and this is what he described, Jordan Pickford. He's got a few kangaroos loose in the top paddock, which I think is a great way to describe him. Screws loose, as we'd say back home in the UK. You mentioned Bellingham and Kane, both of them performing brilliantly there. I wanted to focus firstly on Bellingham, and I saw a great comparison talking about this is the closest England have had to a Zinedine Zidane in the team. Do you see likenesses between Zizou and the way that Bellingham goes about his football?
Yeah, when I look at Jude Bellingham, I definitely see that elegance, that grace, that willingness and that desire to say, hey, I will be the main man and I will be the main character of this story. Jude Bellingham is very misunderstood, and I think the English media and I think the English public is starting to finally understand that he is a big game player. It takes cojones to go into Real Madrid from Borussia Dortmund with the price tag he went into and lead the team forward in the way he did to be a Ballon d'Or candidate at the age he was to win the Champions League. Now we're seeing that Jude that we saw in that first season for Madrid, who played the game of his life in an England jersey. And at major tournaments, Adam, whether he's playing the best football of his career or whether it's about doing the things that define English football matches, he is the leader of this team for me, him and Harry Kane. I mean, the stats back it up. They've accounted for, 10 of the 11 goals that England have scored. But Jude Bellingham racking up man of the match after man of the match after man of the match performances. I mean, the numbers don't lie. This is a player in Jude Bellingham who, in my opinion, he will be future captain of England. And that's not far off, depending on how long Harry Kane still wants to play football.
Does this game boil down to the big stars? Is it a case of if Kane and Bellingham dominate, then England win, and if Haaland and maybe Odegaard, if you add that to him, or mainly Haaland dominate, then Norway win? Do you see it as linear as that?
No, I see that those are some of the individual matchups. I mean, Erling Haaland versus the two center backs, whoever Thomas Tuchel wants to put at that center back pairing. Mark Gahey, there's a lot of familiarity there between him and his Manchester City teammate, Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. They're the most decisive tandem at this World Cup. But what makes these two sides special is I look at some of the supporting cast players. I mentioned Anthony Gordon. Elliot Anderson, I thought he was very solid. He's actually outshone Declan Rice at this World Cup. And Arsenal fans, you might hear that and think, well, Dex, he's been running to the ground a bit. But Elliot Anderson has been one of the linchpins of that midfield. And for Norway, they have a linchpin of their own. Martin Odegaard has been really good. It's good to see him showing that quality. But Patrick Berg has been the player who stood up tallest in that midfield as well. So a lot of individual matchups. I think it's going to be some of the things and the details that mark quarterfinal matchups. Set pieces tend to be the things. And for Norway, they're one of the biggest teams at this World Cup, Adam. So it's going to come down to some of the fine margins. This is going to be an outstanding game, and the details will decide who wins.
Do you think this Norway team have sort of shed the dark horse tag now, given the fact that they've beaten Brazil and they have looked very impressive in most of their games? Are they better than that?
Yeah, I think Norway are for real. Whenever you beat a big team, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see them go toe-to-toe in that final group stage match against France. That would have been one of the group stage matches of the ages because that really was the first litmus test. But I loved what I saw from them, and I'm a big believer that as a team, you are a reflection of those people that are in your country and the fans that support your national team. It's good to see the passion and the pride and the joy that we see from the Norwegian fans rowing their way out from the airports into places like the subway stations here in New York City and finally through the finish line against Brazil. Norway truly have defied the odds, but we've seen flashes of this before. They've scored goals at will in qualification, but it's getting some of the performances they've gotten. I mean, at different points, you've had unsung heroes in this Norwegian team. I mentioned Patrick Berg. I want to give a big shout out to their goalkeeper, Ørjan Nallen. He stood on his head, played the game of his life. So the thing I like about Norway is Erling Haaland is the finish line. He is the real Thor of this team. He's a Viking god, for crying out loud, with the number of goals he's scoring. But every single player plays their part, and they really seem like this collective unit that England have to be wary of. Because if you don't come to do things like play for second balls, go for 50-50s, win your duels, Norway will knock England out.
We're going to play Viking or Englishman here. You're the manager. You can only choose Harry Kane or Erling Haaland to lead your line. Who would you pick?
Look, I'm a big Erling Haaland fan, and to do what he's done at this World Cup, I think he's the first player since James Rodriguez to score in each of his first 4 matches at a World Cup. And James was insane for Colombia back in 2014. Harry Kane is on a mission right now. Harry Kane's got 73 goals at him in 1 full cycle for club and country. The only player that scored more goals is Lionel Messi. So that is something that you cannot touch. And I love that some people might say, well, Harry Kane scores the majority of his goals at times from the spot. It is so difficult. And I remember this as a former player. I've taken penalty kicks at the international level. It's hard enough at the club level. Harry Kane makes a penalty kick look like a pass into the bottom corner, but it's his all-around game. He's the sort of player that makes every single player on England that much better, and it's good to see the fact that he's taken this leadership role and become more vocal, but he's calm under pressure, and the fact that he's brought Jude Bellingham along with him, the likes of Anthony Gordon along with him, and the rest of the team, he's a bad, bad man.
So you're saying Kane?
Kane.
Kane all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, time for a short break here on Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. We'll focus on France against Morocco. Going to be a great game in Boston next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others, but they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. No games at the World Cup, of course, here on Wednesday, but all eyes on the quarterfinals starting on Thursday. France against Morocco in Boston. Les Bleus battling past Paraguay 1-0 thanks to Kylian Mbappe's penalty. It was a real battle, that game, wasn't it, to reach this stage, while Morocco cruised past the co-host Canada, as you can see there. Great performance in Houston, winning 3-0 to set up this one. 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. France against Morocco in Boston. And as we've been saying, this is a repeat of the semi-final we saw at the last World Cup in Qatar, a 2-0 victory that day for France. Do you see that game, even though it was a little while ago, having any context on what we're about to see?
No, look, there's going to be some of the familiar faces from that Moroccan side of 2022 that are part of this squad. But this is a new generation. This is a new team and a new manager in Mohamed Ouabi. I think if this was still Walid Regragui, the previous manager of the Moroccan national team, then revenge would be a dish best served cold for Morocco. But what I love about this Morocco side is they are doing it their way, and they've had this internal reflection about who they are and who they want the rest of the world to know them to be. They're focused on this collective journey that Mohamed Ouabi has spoken about. But as we see the difference in the current group from the previous group in 2002, I mean, Youssef El-Nesri, he's not even on the team. And he scored some massive goals in the knockout round. I think of the goals that he scored against Portugal in the quarterfinal to send them to the semifinals. You know, Azzedine Ounahi scored the brace against Canada, and Sofiane Amrabat is on the bench for Morocco. So it shows a difference in what 4 years can do for this national team. But this 2002 side set the template and the foundation of what Moroccan football is all about, and the investment at the grassroots level, Adam, that is really why we see Moroccan excellence.
And I think a few of the players who are into the France side, you would say, have leveled them up. Elise, particularly Barcola. We put Doué in the team here, but Barcola wasn't playing in that game in 2022. He's been brilliant. I do think that centre-back partnership that we've got at the moment, Saliba of Arsenal and Upamecano as well, just a little bit more solid than what we saw from France, albeit they did manage to get through this game against Morocco, winning 2-0 as we said. Obviously, the focal point for France is and will be for the next, 2 World Cups is going to be Kylian Mbappe if he stays fit. His record is just almost unmatched when it comes to scoring goals in his national team colours. What is it that brings the best out of Mbappe when he plays in this France team?
I think there's a level of trust and understanding, and I point to the head coach in Didier Deschamps, where every single goal you see Kylian Mbappe score, the first person he goes to is Didier Deschamps to celebrate. There's a level of mutual respect, and I think there's almost this guiding light of someone who has been there and done that as a captain for the Blue when they won in 1998. Didier Deschamps has been an absolute genius in how he's gotten the best out of Kylian Mbappe and this entire team. He has said, Kylian, go and express yourself, go play freely, go be yourself, because the best Kylian Mbappe is truly the best France. But what I love about Mbappe is there's this level of grit, there's this level of nastiness, this almost obsession about winning this World Cup that we saw glimpses of in 2022 in Qatar, but this is Kylian's team. And I loved his reaction after the game against Paraguay, Adam, where there was that French arrogance that sometimes we like, sometimes we don't at the international level, but he seems like he's a man on a mission. And I love this defiance that he's playing with, because there was a time where people were doubting whether Kylian Mbappe was the best thing for Real Madrid. Well, those Madrid fans that are doubting now, they might not be doubting for long, because French football fans have no doubt that Kylian Mbappe is the best thing for France at this World Cup.
I think a lot of people, when they looked at France's starting 11 or what it was projected to be before the World Cup, they focused in on that centre-back pairing as potentially an area of weakness, maybe not the most mobile. You've got Saliba and Upamecano, who are both great players, and maybe on the Upamecano side, not quite as mobile as some of the other players. But then when you look back, you know, they had Konate at centre-back, didn't they, in the previous World Cup? Is that as weak as people maybe thought it would be? Because I've thought they've been fairly solid so far.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most underrated parts of how impressive France have been. And outside of Spain, I can't think of a better defensive unit at this World Cup. The one thing that I'll say about Dayot Upamecano, we've seen a Dayot Upamecano up until the Champions League semifinal against PSG that was outstanding. Vincent Kompany deserves a lot of credit. He is playing with a partner in William Saliba, who, in my opinion, right now, with what I've seen at this World Cup, is the best defender in the world. It's not just his footballing IQ, it's the calm, it's the presence that William Saliba has, whether it's with Arsenal, in the Premier League, but it's what he has put over Dayot Upamecano. There's this sense of calm under pressure. It's this fire and ice partnership with France and this back line. And when we see what they've done, you look at the back lines they've had. 98 World Cup, okay, 5 goals. You think of the players they had, Vicente Lizarazu, you have Lilian Thuram, Marcel Desailly, some of the greats. 5 goals, the fact that you're in the quarterfinals and you've only given up 3, and you compare that with the team that won in 2018, so many people focus on the goals that those teams scored, but they would not have been where they got to without the defensive resilience and the steal. And I mean, that is elite company that some of the names that this current group is chasing to make history. That's insane.
There's also a case to be made, a bit like we were talking earlier about England, winning against Mexico at the Azteca, for France getting past Paraguay. I know it's only Paraguay, and clearly France were expected to beat Paraguay handily, but given the way that that game played out and also what's happened in the aftermath, the fact that it was such a battle, and Paraguay knew that the only way they were going to ever try and get something from that game was to make it into a, kind of a fight in the park, wasn't it? That can give a team so much confidence that even when someone is throwing that much at us that we have to deal with, that's so difficult for us to deal with, not in a footballing sense, that they've managed to get through that test, and now they can focus on Morocco, maybe a team certainly a team who's going to play a little bit more than Paraguay did. How much mental fortitude they can take from a result like that.
Yeah, whenever you go through a grueling international tournament or a grueling journey, and this World Cup is unlike any other because it's longer. There's different countries you're playing in, 3 countries for the first time ever, different altitudes you're playing at. I mean, you're going to be tested in different ways. That match against Paraguay, and we were in here covering the match here on Match Night and Scoreline, I was really impressed with the fact that France showed a different side and a different edge in ways that we had not seen them tested before. And France showed that they're not just a bunch of tuxedos. They're not just va-va-voom football. It's not just champagne football. They're a bunch of fighters. And it's not William Saliba, it's not Dayot Upamecano's. Those players will show up for any fight. I'm talking about the Manu Kone's, baby, who showed up when he was an absolute dog. I'm talking about Kylian Mbappe, who he got punched in the face. He got hit in the face a couple of times. I think of Matthias Galarza, who, in my opinion, his performance was disgraceful. And I don't use that word often unless I truly mean it. I thought some of his antics was disgraceful. But France showed that they can rise above the pressure. And when teams want to play ugly, which they might see versions of that with Morocco, they'll say, okay, you want to make it a street fight? We have Parisians. We'll make it a street fight. If you want to play football, we'll beat you at that too.
It's already going to be a difficult task, obviously, for Morocco to beat France, the quality of Les Bleus, but it's going to be even more difficult with the fact that they've got Ismail Saibari injured and not playing in this game, we think. So how do they approach it, knowing that they haven't got a guy who so much of their good play and goals has gone through so far at the tournament? Yeah,
I feel for Ismail Saibari because it comes just after he signs the big money move to Bayern Munich. I thought he was such a difference maker for them, and you could really see this chemistry between him, the likes of Achraf Hakimi bombing down the right-hand side. It seemed like everything in the final third, he was the finishing touch to this symphony of excellence for Morocco that we've seen at this World Cup. And the fact that it came early in the game in the match against Canada, that could have been Morocco done. He has just been this ensemble of confidence, and Peter Bosz deserves a lot of credit because his former manager at PSV Eindhoven, he was the one that played him in the false 9 this season in the Eredivisie, and we saw just how Morocco's reaped the benefits of this. But this is where, when your backs are up against the wall in terms of the supporting cast needing to step up, if you're Sofiane Rahimi, now is the time to prove your worth. I remember Sofiane Rahimi, where, for people who forgot, you go back to the Olympics in Paris, he was the star of the show for a Morocco side that wiped the floor clean with the U.S. men's national team or the U.S. under-23 national team. And after a while at AFCON, he was really disappointing at him. He was starting for Morocco in that opening match at AFCON. And just to see the fall from grace he's had, to see him redeem himself against Canada, he will have to step up. Raheem Diaz will have to step up as well. But Mohamed Ouabi deserves credit because he's relied on players like Chemsdine Talbi, who has come in to make impacts. So it's not just going to be the first 11. I think Morocco's bench will be the one that make this a match.
Just quickly a line on Ouabi. It is always difficult for coaches when you've had a national side that's had an all-timer of a World Cup, which they did at the last one, getting to the semi-finals, kind of reaping the rewards of so much hard work that came before that to get to that point, then being the coach that takes over, that's then got to think, right, okay, we've got to try and go one better next time. How can we improve this team? But he does seem to have taken that 4-year period, the gap between the two World Cups and what he's taken into this World Cup, they do look better, don't they?
Yeah, Moroccan football has evolved since 2022. It's been evolving for the last decade plus. And what I'll say about Mohamed Ouabi, and I've been really impressed, his sense of composure under pressure. And we saw an homage, in my opinion, to what they did back in the last World Cup, where against Canada, they had to be a bit pragmatic because they weren't great in the first 45 minutes. And so they survived Canada's best punch. But what I like about him is he matches the ambition that, for me personally, the Moroccan Federation have. That Walid Regragui, at times, though he put a lot of respect and he put Moroccan football into a stratosphere that Moroccan fans had never seen before, Mohamed Ouabi is more of a representation with how Moroccans see themselves. Moroccans see themselves as equal with the Frances of the world, with the Englands of the world, the Spains, the Argentinas. They don't compare themselves with the rest of Africa. They compare themselves with the top footballing nations in the world, and they have just leveled up with a head coach who has a pulse on each and every one of these players. And also, Adam, he's coached a lot of these up-and-coming players at the youth level with the youth national team.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive game. Looking forward to watching that one between France and Morocco. Time for a short break here on Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. We'll have a look at Spain versus Belgium in LA next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
If I look crazy, it's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now.
Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money.
What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. Friday's quarterfinal is in Los Angeles. Spain taking on the team that knocked out the US. Of course, Belgium. Spain still yet to concede a single goal at this World Cup, having got past Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo in the round of 16. They won that game 1-0. It was a tight, kind of nervy affair between these two European neighbours, but in the end, Spain able to get through Mikel Merino's late goal, and the US losing heavily 4-1 to Belgium in that game as well. Let's start by talking about Spain, Michael, because this is an intriguing game, two teams that go about it quite differently. We mentioned the defensive solidity of Spain, not conceding a single goal, but for me it feels like they're sort of still in third gear. It's like you got a sports car, but you're driving around these narrow city streets and you can't really open it up yet. They haven't got to the highway. I get this sense that there is a lot more to give from this team going forward.
Yeah, look, this is a Spanish national team side that when we look back on what they did at the last Euros, I see a lot of similarities in terms of they didn't really come to life up until this very stage. You think of the match against Germany where they just have so many different weapons, and I think that we probably aren't seeing the best Spain in the final third, Adam, especially because you look at the timing of a lot of the injuries, a lot of the key parts that were part of that success at the last Euros. Lamine Yamal coming back from injury right in time for the World Cup. You think of Nico Williams, who, man, when are we going to see him put together a full match? You also think of the likes of Mikel Merino. It's good to see Mikel Merino come in and show why he is so damn good, why he is so effective for both Arsenal and the Spanish national team side. But we always say that defense does what in football and in big matches, right? It wins you championships, it wins you big games. I love that Spain has done an excellent job of finding ways to win matches in both boxes. And that's down to the fact, and one player that I don't think gets a lot of credit for how good Spain has been Aymeric Laporte. You think of the fact that he is mentoring in real time Pau Cubarsí, who a lot of Spanish football fans probably may have not had him as a starting center back for this Spain team, because in my opinion, he didn't have the best of seasons with Barcelona. But the likes of Laporte, the likes of Marc Cucurella, who looks every bit of the player that is going to Real Madrid at this World Cup, you just really see the Spain side leading from back to front. We also got to give kudos to Rodri, because Rodri is looking like Ballon d'Or Rodri as of late.
How do you think they'll feel about playing Belgium compared to playing the US? I don't know how many people genuinely thought the US were going to get past Belgium. That's a conversation for another day. But do you think Spain are happier playing against Belgium, who have just come off a big win against one of the host nations, or playing the US but in the USA?
I think Spain don't care who they play. They will play anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I really do believe that the best is yet to come from Spain. And this is almost like this slow building tidal wave in Spanish football right now at this World Cup, where you see glimpses of what could be and I think where they let themselves down with. You think of a player who's been clinical as hell for the most part whenever he puts a Spain kit on, is Mikel Oyarzabal. Against Portugal, that should have been 2-0 up in the first 15, 20 minutes.
It was his worst game by a long way, wasn't
Absolutely. He just lacked that cutting edge. He lacked that focus. And you could say the same about quite a few. Lamine Yamal, although he's a teenage sensation, there's been just that final act, that final movement where Spain has let themselves down. But what I love about Spain is they keep finding ways, it's death by 10,000 paper cuts, where they grind you down, and it's their midfield that has really taken a hold of matches in the second half. I point to the partnership of Rodri and Pedri. In the Euros, Fabian Ruiz was playing in the midfield. Dani Olmo was coming off the bench. So there's this sense of competition in this Spain side that I love that Luis de la Fuente is really put in, where if you're not playing your best football, and there's only a handful of players that they're not leaving the field as long as they're healthy, it's next man up sort of mentality, and it keeps everyone accountable to come up with a big moment.
What about Belgium? How are they feeling going into this game? They must have derived so much confidence by that victory and the manner of the victory against the US, you know, being able to deal with such a partisan crowd, what had happened beforehand with Balogun, and being able to put in such a dominant performance, really keep their hand on the US's head throughout the entire game. And this, to me, and I think this photo and the celebrations when Lukaku scored the late goal and after the final whistle really showed that we've always spoken about Belgium in the last 15 or so years as a team with great players, but not necessarily a great team. They never look that together. It's just a bunch of individuals. Whereas at this World Cup, it does seem like they have finally come together as a team.
Yeah, it's incredible to see Belgian football when it comes to making the quarterfinals. Adam, you look at when they've done it. 2014 they did it, 2018 they did it, and now 2026. So quarterfinalists minimum in 3 of the last 4 World Cups. That doesn't get talked about enough. And if you had told me Rudy Garcia would be the architect of this quarterfinal run when they started in the group stage against the likes of Egypt, against the likes of Iran, I would have said, what type of beer or what type of booze are you sipping on? Because you're out of your damn mind. But I'm a big believer in that off-field situations at times can be the best catalyst for a team and a Belgian national team that's looked divided at different times. And Rudy Garcia deserves a lot of credit because he was bold in making a bold decision to the lineup he put out against the U.S. men's national team. Kevin De Bruyne was doing what you and I are doing. He sat on the bench. Jeremy Doku, who was fantastic for Manchester City towards the end of the season, although Jeremy Doku went for reasons that he should have gone for, which is to be with his family. You and I, both his dads, definitely applaud that. But to field a team with Nicholas Raskin, who when the World Cup started, he wasn't in the plans, I'm sure, for Rudy Garcia, to field a team like this where Dodi Lukebakio, Benfica player who we covered in the Champions League, he wasn't in the tea leaves. It shows a lot of belief in himself as a manager, but also it's a proof that sometimes your best players on paper, your big superstars, if they don't fit what you're trying to do as a team, if they don't fit this culture you're trying to build to get results at the World Cup, then you need to put the players who do fit that. And this Belgium side, they have a newfound resilience. I saw a team that looked more together than I've seen Belgium look in a long, long time against the United States.
Does he stick with the same template against Spain in this one? Do you think CDK is going to start up front, Lukaku on the bench again, De Bruyne on the bench, Doku on the bench, or does he push some of those horses onto the pitch for the starting lineup?
Yeah, look, Rudy Garcia, listen to me, and maybe don't listen to me, right? I'm not a coach for a reason. I hope to be a coach or involved more closer to the sidelines or touch lines at some point in my life. I've learned from some of the best where they said, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. Do not overtinker, because you finally have a group at this World Cup who are playing for one another. Charles de Ketelare, he's found himself again. He's one of the most enigmatic players that we cover here at the Golazo Network in Serie A, because in the words of Gennaro Gattuso, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe, well, not so good. But against the U.S., rather than dropping when the ball's in the final third, rather than being at the top of the box, sometimes you forget he's 6 foot tall. And when you look at players like Pau Cubarsí, who can be erratic when crosses get put in the box, I think he's found a connection with the likes of Leandro Trossard, who deserves a lot of credit. I think he's been excellent at this World Cup. I think his ability to just be durable, his ability to use some of that intelligence in playing in half spaces. If you're Belgium and you want to get after a Spanish national team that's 35 games unbeaten, which is ridiculous, being good in transition, being efficient and effective when you're in the final third, put CDK, he's confident, let him cook, and then bring your super sub in Romelu Lukaku, who that's now 3 goals at the World Cup, which that's the first time a substitute player has ever done that at a World Cup. Do not change anything. Let the first 11 cook. Bring your thoroughbreds off the bench and see if the game's still there for the taking.
Yeah, you do wonder if this will be the biggest test for Spain's very solid back line so far at this World Cup. Time for a short break here on Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. We'll focus on Argentina versus Switzerland on Saturday in Kansas City. Next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion!
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad in my camp.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money. What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Scoreline 48 Nations presented by McDonald's. Let's focus on the last of the quarterfinals. Saturday evening's game in Kansas City between Argentina and Switzerland. The defending champions having to escape embarrassment in both of their last two matches, needing extra time versus Cape Verde in the round of 32 and then coming back from 2-0 down in a thrilling finish against Egypt on Tuesday to win 3-2. It's Switzerland who won 4-3 on penalties against Colombia yesterday to set up this game against Argentina. As I said, there are two games where Argentina could easily have gone out of this competition, but they've managed to make it through to the next round each time. Is this one where if they play the same way that they did against Egypt, barring the last, 15 minutes or so, and the way they play for a lot of the game against Cape Verde, if they play like that against Switzerland, they're going to lose? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, it's difficult to really see how this one's going to unfold because we said that if they play that way against Cape Verde, which they were just outfought, outdueled, outthought at different times, then maybe that'll catch up with them with the next game. I really do think, though, that if Argentina find themselves 2-0 down against a Swiss side, that's them done. I don't think it's going to play out that way because at a certain point, experience does show that it has proof in the pudding. What I love about this Argentine national team, I know there's going to be a lot of controversy about how that match against Egypt unfolded, and that's for another show. I think Ian Joyce probably blasted FIFA and VAR enough. What I do want to applaud Lionel Scaloni and this Argentine team for is they're winners. And when you win, you do winning things, you have a winning mentality, and we really saw that come to fruition. They never lose faith, Adam. When they're 2-0 down, they never lose faith. When they're 1-0 up, they never lose faith. They are a team that believe in the players that they have. And there's this thing that one of my former coaches, Alessandro Nesta, who's won the World Cup, I remember he taught me, he said, winning, after you've done it a while, after you do it time and time again, it not just becomes a part of your habits, it becomes a part of your DNA. This Argentine national team has a winning DNA. It's why you can go 2-0 down. It's why you cannot play your best time and time again and come up with the big results. But after a while, though, Adam, players do need to step up. Right now, Lionel Messi has put the team on his back. But for Argentina to get back to another final and to get the better of this Swiss side, they need a complete performance against a tough team.
That's exactly what I was going to ask, is are they too reliant on Lionel Messi and what it means to him and the goals he's scoring and everything else that comes with that story? If they're going to win the World Cup again, if they're going to defend their title, do the rest of the team need to make a considerable step up?
Yeah, I look at two players who it was good to see them be part of that winning goal from Enzo Fernandez, and they're probably the big elephants in the room. Lautaro Martinez has had a disappointing World Cup. He changed kind of the words that people were putting out about him, kind of the narrative around him, with the inch-perfect pass that he put, the inch-perfect cross that he put on Enzo Fernandez's head. Julian Alvarez, we haven't seen him deliver much of anything at this World Cup, and they've brought work ethic, but for Argentina to be successful, you need a bit more than work ethic. You need that quality. Fortunately for them, two of the players that have been excellent at this World Cup, and Cuti Romero, he's been outstanding. You think of some of the goals that he scored, good for him, because I didn't see this coming, given the lack of character that he showed at different times, wearing a Tottenham Hotspur shirt and being the captain of Tottenham. And also Lisandro Martinez coming up with big goals, his goal against Cabo Verde. But after a while, you can only do that for so long. The likes of those front two, they have to step up. But what I loved, and I had this conversation, you, Ian, and I were here, and we got into this debate about Argentina, who needs to step up. And I said the player that needs to step up is Enzo Fernandez. It was good to see Enzo Fernandez do what he's been doing for Chelsea. And it was good to see Lionel Scaloni make some tactical switches in the second half late on. Lionel Scaloni, probably people don't even notice what happened in that match, but Lionel Scaloni, every time Argentina's had a bit of resilience or they've been set back, he switched it up. He's put Lionel Messi out to the right. He gets Rodrigo de Paul off in the match against Egypt. He goes with the front two of Julian Alvarez and Lautaro, and he puts Nico Gonzalez as a left winger. He brings a lot more balance to the team, Enzo in the midfield, and you just see a side that looks a lot more grounded, a side that it's not just get Messi the ball and watch him cook. It's a side that's playing for some of the little things, like second balls. The goal that Messi scores come from keeping the play alive. You know, and I think it's good, Montiel, that keeps the play alive. So it's this just know-how and this savviness that you see from Argentina that's really led them to success. But those two, and Alvarez and Lautaro, they have to step up. There's no confidence that Argentina will have if at a certain point Messi can't do it on his own.
From the Switzerland perspective, they've already proven that they can get a result, albeit it was a tight game for them against Colombia without Manzambi, who's injured. Is that an issue for them going into this one? Can they do it again without him?
Yeah, look, this Swiss side, they are a well-oiled machine, and I think they have a standout striker who probably doesn't get enough credit when he puts on a Swiss shirt, in Breel Mbolo. He's a handful. He's going to create chances for you, but we really see this Swiss side that they find different ways to get through and different ways to win matches. And there's a bit of revenge that's going to be on the mind of some of these Swiss players, because there's a bit of history between them and Argentina. They played against each other in the round of 16 at the 2014 World Cup. And on that team, 14 of these current players, they're part of that team that played Argentina and Lionel Messi that fell short 1-0. So the likes of a Granit Xhaka, the likes of Ricardo Rodriguez, they're going to be thinking about that, of thinking, okay, we were a young group, we were inexperienced. Now can we use some of that experience to get back in? But if you're Fabian Rieder, who I thought really had a strong game against Colombia, now is your chance to step up. If you're Dan Ndoye, who I want to see Dan Ndoye show the performances that we saw from Bologna, you're going to get a half chance. All these teams that play Argentina, you get one opportunity. Egypt, they took their opportunity as well. You have to close the door on Argentina. And I think this Swiss side, what these other teams, especially African teams, aren't doing, they have this experience in the back line. They have Gregor Kobel, who's a very quality goalkeeper, man of the match performance against Colombia. They will not show that lack of experience in the final third defensively in the ways that some of these other sides have gone. The first goal is going to be important, but the second goal in that match is going to be what decides the game.
How important is Granit Xhaka to their chances in this game? He's been a real leader for them. He's the captain. He scored his penalty, didn't he, in the penalty shootout yesterday. Do you see, if he has a good game, then they've got a good chance of winning this one?
Yeah, he's going to be really key, because a pattern that I've known against Argentina are teams that win the midfield, win opportunities and win momentum. against Lionel Scaloni in Argentina. Argentina's midfield I haven't been impressed with so far. And there's a reason why Scaloni has had to adapt and change. Rodrigo de Paul has shown himself to be a bit of a liability in midfield. And I would have never thought I'd be saying that after what he was to Argentina 4 years ago, let alone at the last Copa America. And so, you know, if you are this Swiss national team, if you're Granit Xhaka and you see Alexis McAllister playing defensive midfield, I think if you even see Paredes isolated on his own, you better be licking your lips, because Granit Xhaka has become this complete midfielder. In my opinion, he's up there arguably as one of the most complete midfielders in the world. I love his leadership. I love his mentality, Adam. Every team he's gone to, he's a sort of player that he makes everyone around him better. He makes every team around him better. But I think what I've loved most, he has elevated the ambition of Swiss football. He's elevated this sense of self, this sense of unity, and also the sense of pride that Switzerland has. And I wouldn't be surprised, Adam, if we are here after the final whistle, if we're saying Granit Xhaka man of the match and Switzerland knock out Argentina because of him.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough test for Argentina and Lionel Messi. Time for a short break here on Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. We'll play a World Cup special edition of Stock Up, Stock Down next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered meditation? Will Beth and Rip make it last on the new series Dutton Ranch? If not, Rip, call me.
Stream new series and returning favorites, plus huge events.
It's going to be the biggest year yet.
Welcome to the Running Man. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days. But the entire nation is hunting you down.
The grand prize, $1 billion.
Win this game. Change your family's life forever.
Hunt him down!
People will sell you out in a heartbeat.
What is happening?
Welcome to the Running Man.
I'm back. I'm really back.
Why am I here? I'm not dead, right?
Disruption on this campus will not be tolerated.
I look crazy. It's because that's how I feel. I don't know how to live in two worlds.
There are others. But they're not like us. We need to get out of here now. Open your eyes.
Paramount Plus has a mountain of movies. Wow. New movies. Timeless movies. Guys who are running out of time movies. So get in on the latest blockbusters.
Trust me.
And relive the moments that get you every time.
And that's all I have to say about that.
A mountain of movies, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it?
Tell me, can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
I lost my dad and my aunt.
What aren't you telling me?
I'll never know what you've gone through, but I'm sure your dad will want you to be happy.
I will not lose the company that my husband started. I want success. Get it for me.
This business will bleed you dry.
Dad, I'm playing on the house's money now.
No, you're playing with the devil's money. What's the plan here?
Gonna blow!
Yeah, well, I'm just getting started.
Landman. All episodes now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. We're going to go old school. We haven't played Stock Up, Stock Down for a long time. Well, I certainly haven't been on the show. We're going to play a World Cup special edition. Some players whose stock is up or players whose stock is down in terms of transfer. So these are players who might be potentially looking for a move either during or after the World Cup, and whether or not their performances at the World Cup has raised that transfer fee or caused it to be pulled down. We're going to start with someone whose transfer fee has probably gone from nothing to something. We're going to start with Vozinha, the goalkeeper for Cape Verde. What a storyline this has been. Really announced himself on the world stage. I think any club that looks at signing him, obviously they're going to look at the age, which doesn't necessarily help him. Maybe that's a bit more stock down, but stock up. Also because of the commercial value and all of the Instagram followers. You're not just buying a player, you're buying a social media megastar.
Yeah, you're really buying an icon. You think of Cabo Verde and the story that they were. He's the best story at this World Cup so far. I know that we'll probably change our minds when it comes to whoever wins the final. They'll probably be the big story. Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, they're the headliners of this tournament. But Vozinha is the feel-good story that if you're in any entity, any team, any brand, maybe brand that's sponsoring this show, you're probably looking at him, Adam.
Scoreline presented by Vozinha.
I want a Vozinha Cup. There'll probably be a Vozinha Cup in future World Cups to come. But a lot of people think of just the social media sensation that he's been, Adam, but he also showed he's a damn good goalkeeper against Argentina. I mean, he stifled Lionel Messi time and time again. Even after Messi scored the goal, he kept his team in it. And he's the sort of goalkeeper that he has this bit of flash, he has this bit of composure. There are different times you forget how good he is with his feet. There are different times where Argentina would go and press him, and he's, whoop, gets it out of the back and plays through pressure. So the question now becomes, with his stock being through the roof, I liken him to Bitcoin back in 2007, right? No one knew what Bitcoin was, but you've seen his value go through the roof like Bitcoin. And actually, let me check to see where Bitcoin is, because I hope I put some money in there. But all jokes aside, Vozinha is a sort of player that I would love to see. I know that Major League Soccer is looking at him right now. Inter Miami are looking at him. I'm going to give you another team who, if Vozinha wants to be more than just the social media sensation, wants to be just more than the marketability that he is, I would look at a team who just lost an experienced goalkeeper, Adrian, in Real Betis.
Okay.
Yeah. Real Betis are going to get in Champions League football. I would just love to see him get the limelight yet again. Alvaro Valles, he's a starting goalkeeper, but to see him play in Copa del Rey, imagine if we're talking about Vozinha in Copa del Rey on Scoreline. Manuel Pellegrini, I think he could do wonders as a backup or maybe even challenge Valles for that number one.
Yeah, I've certainly seen solid goalkeepers well into their 40s, but you do wonder how much the age factor will be impeding, a potentially big transfer to some of the really big clubs around Europe. But we'll have to wait and see where he ends up. As you said, he has been linked with Inter Miami and MLS, to a player whose stock has probably gone down after this World Cup, and really had been trending downwards even in club football, not getting a start necessarily in every game for Manchester City. That's Omar Marmoush for Egypt. Where's all of this? Where's his career gone, really? And I don't want to be too negative here. Obviously, sometimes in football, we can race to look at a very short period of time and criticise a player. He was obviously brilliant in Germany before he got that big move to Manchester City. But I think since then, because he's not been playing regularly in the starting lineup, that does seem to have affected his confidence.
Yeah, it's really sad to see a player who 17 months ago was one of the leading goal scorers in Europe's top 5 leagues in all of world football. So to give some context and perspective and what I mean, Omar Marmoush, before he moved to Manchester City, I think it was January 23rd of 2025. So 17 months, right? 15 goals. Only Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Kylian Mbappe, Robert Lewandowski, and Mohamed Salah had more goals at that time. He was red hot. He was the talk of the town. Now he's the talk of Cairo and Alexandria in Egypt for all the wrong reasons. What I'm afraid of is we've seen it far too many times where I never felt comfortable that he chased the money. He took the bag that Pep Guardiola and Manchester City were offering. It was a stopgap. When he left Frankfurt and he went to City, it was always to be a stopgap. And you really saw that, okay, was he going to be the replacement for Julian Alvarez? Not really, because he's a different sort of player that Manchester City have now deemed him surplus to requirements. So to see that confidence be put on display in a match-defining moment, the match against Argentina, where the game was lost for me, for Egypt, is Egypt are on a counterattack, and Mohamed Salah, the player who you want on the counterattack for the Pharaohs, has the ball. You could see the sense of desperation Marmoush was playing with, where he comes in off the bench as a sub, and he takes the ball off the foot of Mohamed Salah. Who the hell does that? Only a player who's desperate, probably thinking about his future, and he makes the wrong decision. Leandro Paredes makes a block. Argentina go down and score the winning goal. Egypt's World Cup is done. So he has probably become one of the public enemies #1 amongst Egypt fans because of that decision. But I feel for him because you could see in glimpses when he's playing against Newcastle, he looks like a Ballon d'Or winner. When he's playing against everyone else, well, he looks like you or me.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether he sticks around at the Etihad, whether he gets his opportunity in the starting lineup under Maresca now, and then maybe he can start to rebuild his career in European football. We're going to stock up. We've got Flo Balogun, obviously had a wonderful World Cup for the US, scoring the goals, leading the team. And I think, you know, some of the controversy that happened with that red card, that was not necessary. It was an incident that was to do with him, but what happened afterwards was nothing to do with him. Do you think he's going to stay at Monaco? He's obviously proven that he can score goals in the Champions League. He's looked very good for them and earned the right to be the starting forward for the US at this World Cup. Do you think he's got his sights set on a really, really big team in Europe?
Yeah, he definitely should. And I don't know who his agent is. And if Flo, if you want me to be your agent, I'd love to represent you because some big club is definitely going to come in with a big offer. You and I were talking about Flo Balogun. I want to ask you, I want to volley it back to you because a club that you know very well, Newcastle United, they're in need of players, let alone attacking players. Anthony Gordon leaves. You've already lost Alexander Isak. There's rumors now that Bruno Guimaraes, he might want out. You just lost Sandro Tonali. So you need players who want to be at the club. Would you take him at Newcastle?
I think I would take him. We were looking at his record. He obviously has pushed up past 20 goals a season. And that's my benchmark for a striker in the Premier League. Are you going to score 20 goals a season? And I think that's what Nick Voltemada, I know he wasn't necessarily brought in as a striker, but that's what he failed to do. And I think what people were looking at as from Newcastle fans' perspective, okay, you've got to score more goals if you're going to be leading our line, especially compared to what Alexander Isak did. I think from the Balogun perspective, though, he's going to want to be playing Champions League football. He wants to be playing in Europe, and Newcastle can't offer that at the moment. Maybe he'll see it as a club who obviously has designs to get back to the Champions League and wants to be playing at that level. But I think given all of the stock up, as we're talking about, and the goodwill that he's generated from a brilliant World Cup, is he going to want to join a team that's not playing in the Champions League? But, you know, to go back to that discussion that you and I were having, is he a player who's good enough, or has he shown us that he's good enough for one of those, you know, top 6 teams in the Premier League or top 3 or 4 teams in some of the other leagues, the top 5 leagues in Europe who are playing in the Champions League would want to go for? Do you think he's that good?
Yeah, I really do. I'm going to throw a club that probably most people won't think about. I would love to see him at a club like Borussia Dortmund, mostly because Sekou Guirassy in the next 6 to 12 months will most likely not be a Borussia Dortmund player. And maybe I'm giving out intel. Maybe I have some intel from my Borussia Dortmund people. Maybe I don't. Time will tell. But Borussia Dortmund need to plan for someone to replace Guirassy. He's good enough to walk into Dortmund right now and challenge for a first 11 spot. You just lost Julian Brandt, who was not going to re-sign with the club. You'll get Champions League football. And the pressure of having to go in, and there's always pressure at a club like Dortmund to have to go in and deliver. But the pressure that comes with going to some of the other clubs we're talking about, the pressure that comes with going to a Premier League club will not be there to the extent it would be for Dortmund. I love that for him, and they play to his strengths. Transition team, playing a 3-4-3, which he can play in. So Borussia Dortmund's a club for me.
That's my inclination. I don't think like a Barca or a Real Madrid or a Bayern or an Arsenal, those top tier of European teams are going to necessarily think he's maybe good enough. But that next level down, Borussia Dortmund, some of the other teams that are playing in the Champions League every season but not competing at that level, I think Balogun might be a good fit for them. We'll have to wait and see. OK, time for a short break here on Scoreline 48 Nations, presented by McDonald's. Plenty more Golazo Network coming up next.
At the start of every year, I find myself wondering again, constantly questioning life's mysteries. Could I make it in the UFC octagon?
When Jeff Probst asks survivors, ready?
Do they ever want to say no? Has Dexter ever considered